the next minute.
Mm-hmm.
You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And there, oh, that's a new one.
It's Mozart.
Oh, okay. But for everybody else, we welcome into Comic Book Spectrum. I hope everything is going well today. To be quite honest, I kind of lucked up into tonight's thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, I don't know why I thought about Adventures in Babysitting at the last second.
That's where that's from. You know, I've never watched that movie.
Oh, okay. It was, to be honest, it's kind of forgettable, but if you watch it.
Christina Applegate?
No.
Okay.
That's Shue. Elizabeth Shue.
I don't.
She was the babysitter that was called in after after her love interest dumped her. So she comes in and everything to babysit for these suburban wealthy parents who had like a little bitty girl who was so in love with Thor. It's like everything that she does was like Thor related. She loved the mighty Thor.
She wanted to be the mighty Thor.
And then the older brother had kind of like a crush on her, but the older brother was supposed to go out to like a sleepover to her friends, and he canceled on his friend. His friends come over, and then he's like, "Oh, so that's the real reason why you didn't want to come over, because he saw the babysitter." So instead of allowing him to kind of mac on the babysitter, just because again she's older, she's older. He's trying to come off more mature and everything. It's like, the best friend was trying to be like if I can say it, we got TVMA trying to be the cock block on the babysitter and everything. And out of nowhere, she gets a call from like her best friend. Her best friend got stranded. Being that she was the only friend that she had that had a car. She was like, "Hey, can you come and pick me up? It's an emergency. I got stranded out here, yada yada yada." It was like really, really bad. But the thing about it is like, okay, fine. It's like she was like, "I'm in the middle of babysitting this, that, or the other." So at first she was about to get ready to turn to the older brother. It's like, "Well, could you cover for me until I get back? I gotta go pick her up. I'll be right back." The little girl was like, you were paid to watch me."
Either you're gonna watch me, or I'm gonna get you in a lot of trouble. See, so that's when you get up and go, "What would Thor do in this situation?"
Pretty much the four of them gets into a car and it becomes a major to do here. I forgot the fifth person that eventually tags along with them. There's a fifth person that eventually tags along with them before they get to the front.
Okay, because I think I remember commercials for it, and it was one of those, the most unlikely thing happens on what's supposed to be a routine babysitting turns into anything but I can't remember. The friend was in trouble. She was in trouble. Something shady was going on.
She was in trouble where she got stranded. She was supposed to be on some type of date or something like that, and something went completely awry, and she got stranded.
And so the guy just left her out there, but on the way to pick her up, something things happened, and
I mean, a lot of things happened that went wrong, and eventually the car broke down. And I remember this scene very well. The car broke down to get to the auto mechanic, and guess what the auto mechanic looked like?
who did the auto mechanic look like?
Thor. So the little girl was like, "Oh, mighty Thor!" Click, click. It was like, "Could you please help us out by fixing our chariot?"
At least it didn't look exactly, it's like, okay, Chris
But the thing about it is that if I remember the
so
actors correctly, it was the same actor who played Private Pyle in his younger days.
Private Pile. Gomer Pyle?
No, not Gomer Pyle. Private Pyle from Full Metal Jacket.
I never watched Full Metal Jacket.
Have you watched the Daredevil series? The Marvel Daredevil series?
No,
Younger Kingpin.
I have not watched it. Only part of Daredevil I watched was when he had to do the walk of
Have you
shame.
watched
He banged his butt.
what
And
have
then,
you watched Law and Order?
yes, I've watched a lot of Law and Order because John loves that
I
show.
forgot what his character was in Law and Order.
Well, that's
Damn
not
it.
either of us any good now, is it?
No, it's like he was in Law and Order, but it's like you have to understand. You have to understand. It's like I see his name, but I can't recall it. I mean, it was him in his younger days, just after Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
Dang, now
Listen.
you're going to make me look it up, and probably going to have to show a
No,
picture of it.
no, it's okay.
But it was like I said, it was a good '80s movie for popcorn related type stuff.
And
It
I
wasn't
think
a blockbuster, but it was just like a good waste of like 1.5 to 2 hours.
I think it did decent. It wasn't a box office hit, but it did decently, if I
Right.
remember. It did well enough. And it was definitely one of those 80s
I mean,
teen
it put
flicks where you're
Elizabeth
like,
Shue
okay,
on the books of being like one of the Bon Vaughn female actors of the time for the teen generation.
she was the anti Molly Ringwald character, I think, or
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah, something
Because
like that. Yeah.
you either back then you had two types of you had the Molly Ringwald girl and you had the anti Molly Ringwald. You were either Molly Ringwald or Ali Sheedy out of Breakfast Club before the makeover.
Since you're going to bring up since you're going to bring up Molly,
Oh God.
what I find interesting, and this is true,
Okay.
if a certain Molly Ringwald would have came back to do cameo parts for Facts of Life, she would have never had Breakfast Club. People forgot that Molly Ringwald was in the first season of Facts of Life, and then when they went to season 2, they got rid of most of the first
The
season
first
cast
season
to
cast.
focus on really 4 girls in Eastman.
Well,
And they were saying after they had their 4 main ones that they're going to have on each and every episode, they then start offering the ones that was there in season 1. If you want to come back for bit parts or cameos every so often, we will have you to do that. Molly Ringwald and her parents decided not to because of the simple fact that they felt that she had more star
she had,
power than what at that point.
she had more promise.
Hmm.
And, the fact of the matter is, off television, she defined that generation. She was the 80s it girl. Like I said, girls were cast if you got to see in the scripts and they were describing those type of movies where they were trying to be Brat Pack or Brat Pack adjacent.
Hmm.
There was always you had the Molly Ringwald and you had the Ali Sheedy characters. There was one or the other. or both.
See, but
It,
that's the thing about Ali Sheedy. When I think about her, it's like she played more diverse roles than anything else compared to Molly Ringwald.
she played
Molly Ringwald
and
played the it girl. Everybody wanted to get with Molly Ringwald.
and you know, Allie
Ali
actually
Sheedy
she was
played
the
quirky
girl. She was
character.
the girl from War Games. People
Right.
forget Allie was the girl from War Games. But
She was also in Breakfast Club,
she was in
and
Breakfast
then
Club.
I
The
forgot the
thing is,
other one.
she played the she was the goth chick before goth was she was the goth chick
She was
before
the
goth.
basket case. Not
Well,
because
more
they didn't
goth.
have golf back then. They didn't have
I'm
golf
saying the
have not
word goth.
golf have not developed back then. But she was
Well,
considered
goth
basket
was
case.
developing back then. It
Mhm.
just didn't have that name,
Right.
but it was developing because you had bands coming out around that time. It would have been a couple of years. We would get Susie and the Banshees and Walking on Sunshine. We'd get Adam Ant stuff, and that was the lighter side of goth. And then we started getting more the LA and the New York scene, and those they were at the time they weren't called goth; they were called underground.
Right.
They were more underground, except which was kind of insulting to Lou Reed because it's like, excuse me, you know, I'm underground. These children are not taking my space. But the culture was growing that it was she helped for girls to find that look with the heavy eyeshadow, the the styled messy hair. At that point it was the anti-fashion
But
stance.
that was only with the club because War Games she wasn't like that.
No, but I'm
And
saying
I believe in Short Circuit she wasn't that way either.
she also wasn't that character in was not Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire.
Right.
But when you say Ali Sheedy,
You,
people are gonna give you one or two things. They're either gonna say War Games or they're gonna say Breakfast Club.
and people keep forgetting about Short Circuit because again the robot took over. It's like everybody thinks Johnny Five
Number
when you think sorry, Johnny Five.
Johnny Five was Short Circuit, but people forget she's the girl that finds him and helps him learn and sort of talks to him and everything, and Gutenberg has to then catch up with them. And she's the one that basically sort of acts like that bridge between Johnny Five and Gutenberg because they couldn't talk to each other. They were frustrated. You're not understanding me. Well, you're not understanding me. And she kind of became that bridge. Um, but I think it was Molly held the day as the it girl,
Right,
even
because
though
everything that she did was she was the girl that everybody wanted to get with. 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, what was the other one?
she had 16 candles. She had Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink, yeah.
You know,
I was about to say the movie where everybody rooted that Dougie finally got with her. I couldn't think of the name. Pretty in Pink.
Ducky. But what I'm saying is, because but the thing is Molly was, she was defined by that era. And when that era ended, for the most part, so did Molly Ringwald's career. We then see the other girls because Ali Sheedy went a little further before her
Mhm.
career finally petered out. And then, of course, the future um, Mrs. I Married Bill, because I can't remember, Demi Moore. Because people forget Demi Moore was also part of that Brat Pack group. She was
In
part
the
of that
beginning,
Brat
yeah, in the beginning,
she
but
was
she
part
was
of that
not.
Brat Pack, and she was in her last Brat Pack film was St. Elmo's Fire.
Mhm.
And then she went on and she got Ghost and stuff, and then she overshadowed both Molly and Allie, and what I call the Catholic school name girls, because while Molly was ruling the box office, you had Jessica, what was it? she's got there's Catherine Mary there's two. There's Catherine Mary Stewart and Jessica Louise Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing for TV what Molly and them were doing for the box office. You know, because you had Square Pegs and stuff. So you had those girls ruling TV. And then they went on to do more movies and stuff. But so it was like, for as much as those three shone back then, Bruce Willis, that's who Demi Moore married. But she got Bruce,
see, you were thinking Bruce Willis. You want to know who I thought about?
What, Bruce Springsteen?
No, Ashton Kutcher.
Oh no,
the short romance that she had with Ashton Kutcher. I'm like, wait a second. I was like, oh, that was like towards the tail end of her career that she had that little bitty fling before he went back to Mia Kunis.
Yeah, but you know, but it's interesting, especially for we see those young stars who were blazing hot, and then as they got older, because people wanted them to be that person and lock them into that form. As they got older, they couldn't keep playing that role anymore. They didn't look that way. Like they didn't sound that way. That wasn't, that wasn't who they were. Because if you think about Emilio Estevez, who was very much centered in the Brat Pack, Emilio, when he realized he wasn't doing as much acting, he switched to directing.
Well, he switched to directing, but the thing about it is that he grew out of that central type of, if I could say,
he kind of aged out of that sort of frat boy.
He was no longer typed. He couldn't be typecast anymore, and that's what ended up happening. It's like once he fell out of that typecast role, it's like there was nothing for him to really have until maybe the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, even Rob Lowe, after the Brat Pack stuff, there was a big chunk in which Rob Lowe didn't work, and then out. He got that series. He got the mini series, the Steve King one, which is so funny because I watched it a year ago. Again, The Stand. He got The Stand because for a long time nobody had heard from Rob Lowe. Then he got that part in The Stand, and suddenly he was Rob Lowe again. Well, and then from there he went on and got The West Wing, and then shot himself in the foot because I'm sorry, Martin Sheen. was proving Martin Sheen's character as the president was proving, because he was promised that the West Wing was going to be his show. It was supposed to feature his character. And those first episodes, the first half of that season, that's actually what they did. But Martin Sheen is not going to come down to your level. That man had lived through too much. He's not going to come down to that level. It's like, this is my level. You going to come to my level? Well, I'm going to be done. And I'm going to take the show. And that's what he did. And he quit. He then quit this show early in the first season because he felt like Martin Sheen's character was overshadowing him. What was supposed to be the president was supposed to be this secondary character to Rob Lowe's lead man. And then here's the elder statesman going, please.
He's up here. It's like, come up here, Sonny. You really want it that bad? Come up here. I'm setting the bar up here, and because we're up here, because I'm up here, we're getting the notoriety. So if you want this show this bad, come up here and go above. Come up here
because I've gone through the sexy dude thing, and I've had to, and I've done, he's gone through all those things. So he's like, yeah, baby, I've been where you are. I didn't move beyond that.
because I was like, I just think about the trajectory of Rob Lowe. It's like he went from being the evil guy in Wayne's World.
He was the evil frat. He was the
The
he was
evil
the
music
evil
producer.
frat. He was the evil frat boy, or he was the guy who he played various shades of gray. You know, he
Right.
was that hot guy who what may not be necessarily on the up and up. You know, um, and then what is it? And like I said, then it got to a point where he got a little too mature, and he couldn't play the young stud anymore, and they didn't know what to do with him. And it's like, go work on your acting, because the smart actors will be like, hey,
Well, he
I'm
went to
not getting
stage, if I remember correctly. He went to stage acting, and
a lot of the smarter ones, if they realize that they're not getting, because in LA, if
mhm.
you're not getting the TV and the movie roles, there are, just like in New York, there are a crap ton of little theaters out there. And you'd be surprised at who you'll see walking the boards with some little theater company, because they're not, not because they necessarily need the money, because they're getting at least enough to on old stuff to cover basic bills, but they need to work. They need to sharpen
Perfect
the
the craft to
skills
keep the
and
craft
get better
going.
and
Mhm.
keep a hand on. So there are a lot of them that will go. I mean, New York was notorious for that. If you couldn't get into certain acting schools, you just went and did off Broadway, and then started building up a new resume until people started going, "Oh, okay, you used to be, but now you're doing okay, fine, let's go with this." You had to, it was, you had to prove that you were beyond that box they all put you in when you were, the hot late teen, early 20 something. Now you're in your mid 30s, and it's like, well, you're not that guy anymore. And the
And
little
it's like we don't
cheerleaders.
have roles for that type of guy anymore because you don't meet those requirements. But it's funny now that when you think about Rob Lowe, it's like if he's not doing that 911 Texas, that he went to game shows because he hosted a show by the name of Mental Ninja,
Oh wow.
and now he hosted another game show called The Floor.
Oh, okay. See, I have not kept up with it. I have not, to tell you how I just didn't bother to watch or pay attention to what he was doing after the West Wing, because I was living in LA when that show first started, and they were reporting about, oh, Rob Lowe is leaving the West Wing. He's upset that, you know, um, his co-star, Mr. Martin Sheen's president character is proving so to be so positive with the audiences. They're really responding to him. And it's like, you know what? You could have done two things. You could have let the show progress, stayed with them, and continued to play a key role, or you could do what you did, which is you threw a hissy fit, and now you're doing like third tier game shows.
Well, again, he's not. It's not even third tier. It would be more or less like second tier prime time game shows. So he's on prime time doing these shows here, and the first show was in this. It's
I'm just
okay. It's okay.
like it's
It's worth the time. It's worth the time and effort, but it's not something that you would think Rob Lowe should be doing,
hold on.
especially after doing what 911 Austin or 911 Houston. I forgot what it's called. He's supposed to be kind of like the fire marshal.
He was fire marshal, head ranger, or something. Like I said,
No, no, head fire marshal. He's a firefighter.
okay.
He's
Um,
either a fire captain or fire marshal. And he's going to like all these different disasters and helping his crew and stuff to get out of these situations and everything. It's supposed to be a spinoff of the original 911 show, which originally had I want to say it was Angela Bassett that was originally part of season one.
uh, she was a doctor or something.
No, she was a dispatcher.
Okay. I There are a lot of NBC shows I did not watch.
No,
John
this is a
watched.
Fox show. No, all this is
Oh,
Fox.
Well,
This is Fox.
that's why I didn't watch it, because it was on Fox and I didn't watch that much Fox.
And
But
if like
Leia is
trust me,
here.
if Fox is giving you a paycheck, Fox is giving you a pretty decent paycheck if you got a name for yourself.
Okay. Leia's here.
Yep, I saw.
And we are so far off topic.
No, actually, we are still on topic because we're talking about adventures and babysitting. So we started talking about movies and movie stars and stuff like that. So we're on topic. Because if we was off topic, we'd be like, yeah, we got to,
Well, talking about movie stars, I watched the finale of Good Omens. Courtney and I watched it. We got our snacks and we made a whole thing of it yesterday. We had so much fun. And show this. I didn't say this. Okay. Can't blame this on me. Anyway, I saw Good Omens, and this gaming was not a part of it. And in the months leading up to the finale, they made they made sure, because they had
she ain't right. She ain't right for that. She is not right for that.
David Tennant himself was posting on Facebook, or whoever posts under David Tennant's name, and they were assuring people that gaming was not a part of the production and whatnot. They were distancing themselves. And I will say though, Courtney and I watched it. We loved it, and I'm not going to give any spoilers of the story, but they managed to pack in to a single movie, because I thought it was going to be a season. It was a movie, and they called it the finale. There are some people, Amazon is still saying season 3. The official people who are actually doing the series called it a finale, which it was. They tied everything up, connected what we see in this movie to seasons 1 and 2, tied it up, and they brought it together in a psychotic but neat way. And for those of us who love the show, we got the ending that we wanted, just not the way we were thinking it was going to be. That's all I'll say. And all of the incredible, psychotically brilliant shenanigans only the mind of Terry Pratchett could produce. And we love it, Courtney? We loved it. Poor Courtney. I'm gonna have to give her a cookie. But it was good. It was worth the run to the store to get chips and dip and sparkling lemonade.
They had sparkly lemonade with their pinkies out.
No. We had sparkling lemonade and wine glasses, sweetie. This was a Terry.
Still with the pinky out.
No. That's only for tea. When you're drinking bubbly stuff, you keep your pinkies in, unless you're poking somebody in the eye.
Next time, do it in a crunk cup.
Okay. I'll remember. I don't know who said
that. If not that, and very fancily goblets.
But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We would be cracking up one minute, going, "What?" the next, and oh man, it got you in all the feels. And it did not disappoint. It was a hell of a ride. And at the end, you're like, okay, I can get off now. I'm fine.
Now, since we are moving back to movies, I do have to say this because we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. I still have a bone to pick with a movie that I saw just recently.
Which movie is that?
If you remember last week's thumbnail, it was Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay. Um,
It
what
was a
part of it
good movie until the end. I have a very big bone to pick about the end.
where he asked, that's the one where he asks to have everybody's memory of who he is removed, right? It's after Aunt May has died, and
Oh
he
no,
goes
he wanted everybody to forget
to
that
forget
he
that
was
he was Spider
Spider-Man.
Man. Well, it wasn't just that they forgot he was Spider Man; they forgot him.
The,
They
the
and you
spell that was eventually cast at the end was to forget him.
yes,
Originally, it
they
was supposed to be
he
everybody is
forget
supposed to forget that he's
the
Spider.
Spider Man, but the way Doctor Strange does it, they end up forgetting Peter. That ending kind of got me because the part where he goes into that apartment and he sits down and he's got the new apartment and everything, and he there's the point where he sits down and realizes he is alone for the first time in his life. He is truly and utterly alone. He does not have his friends. Aunt May is gone. There is, yeah.
That's not the
Doctor
part that really got
Strange
me
remembers
upset.
him. Doctor Strange remembers him, but
No, Doctor
um,
Strange does not remember him.
he didn't. I thought he remembered him.
No,
Oh, okay. I thought
that's the
it
reason why I
affected
say I have a
everybody
problem with
but
the
him.
ending because he had an opportunity to reintroduce himself to MJ, knowing good and well that he accomplished his mission. He got both him and Ned into MIT. He couldn't go because why? The whole world forgot about who he was. Therefore,
Well,
if
it
no
wasn't
like
just that they
Peter
forgot
Parker
he was
is,
Spider Man. It was as if Peter Parker quit existing in some to a degree.
no,
And I,
he exists, but he doesn't exist.
you know what I mean. In an official sense, paperwork, people know he no longer exists. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and on the one hand, I kind of understand why Strange did it, but on the other hand, it doesn't make it suck any less, especially
It
not
was
with
a cop
Peter.
out ending.
And Feige and Marvel made their decision, and yet it proved popular enough where they went back to Sony and said, "We need the boy back." You know, so this next one, I think
The people,
he's under. I think it's either Marvel or Sony joint, or he's under
no, it's still
Marvel.
Marvel. It's still Marvel
It's
Sony
a
joint.
Marvel. So yeah, Feige and them were like, "Well, okay, you're gonna do another Spider-Man. We have a part in the boy." And I will say, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I have two favorite Spider-Men on screen, and Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland. And I like Tom Holland in the fact that he felt like a kid. Is Tobey Maguire was young, but he didn't. It kind of felt like an adult playing a kid. Tom Holland's energy felt like a kid to me, especially if you see that first. If you see him in Civil War, you know, he's very much a kid out of his depth.
That
And the
again,
whole
you
point
got
where
Ditko Spider
Falcon
Man.
is
That's the way I point out to it. He was Ditko Spider Man. Spider Man.
he was, and I loved him in that, and but the point where Falcon is like, usually there's not this much conversation, during a fight. And he's like, oops, sorry, my bad. And he's like, he's looking at Captain America. He's actually critiquing Captain America on the physics of his shield. It's like, okay, dude, less concerned about the physics of the shield, more consideration of the fact that if that shield connects with you, you're going through a wall. But I liked that. It was, here is this kid who gets pulled into the situation that is seriously above him. and but he's doing the best he can, and but he's still very much kid. Hey, I saw this whole movie where there were these walkers in the snow, and you realize, oh, he's describing the AT-AT attack in the on Hoth, and and the Empire Strikes Back. But he had that energy that I would have expected from a very young Peter Piper in his first major battle, backing up the guys he thinks is right. And I enjoyed that. It was like, okay, that was a brave choice. He's not sophisticated. Yes, he's scientifically capable, but he's still a kid. And you see that. And it makes him a very human. For me, it was, and I guess, yeah, he touched my inner mom and my outer
That,
mom.
that
They
that's
were
that's
both like,
perfectly fine. But
"Oh,
the
I want to pick
ending,
him up and burp him and give him a cookie or something."
but the ending is so flawed to that movie. It's just like I still cringe. I still cringe.
They can't. You know what? I have told people, because I get people going, "Ah," and it's like, you know what? They can't all be winners.
They
And
they can't all be
there are
winners, but
some,
it,
and there
it
are
did just
times
destroy. It
when
did
you
destroy
making
good
movies
mythos.
by committee, you're going to get those amazing parts, but you're also going to get those parts that fall flat because you're making movies by committee.
That
And
that is true.
when you you're you've got Sony, and yes, I will give Sony the credit that thanks to Sony, they help keep Marvel's IP in the public eye, because they were, whatever you might think of them, they were making those X-Men movies. They were making those Spider-Man movies. They were keeping them done. Though that being said, we also have to go back to Wesley Snipes, because if he hadn't proved that, hello, a movie with a black male lead of a playing what is considered by many a second tier Marvel superhero.
Don't get a certain person going here because she could probably call him D tier.
Whatever.
Certain
But
person that's in the chat would probably call him D tier.
what I'm saying is, whatever you might think of the movies, he proved that those
It worked.
movies would work. If you put the right people together, if you got the right team in front and behind the camera, you could, you could make these work. When everybody was saying, because this was after the one with Johan Griffith and what's his name playing Johnny Storm the first couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he was like, well, I'll get this IP because nobody wants to do this movie. I want to do this movie. And whatever
Yep.
you
He took
might
it to
say,
New Line
Blade
Cinema,
was
and New
more
Line Cinema made it
successful.
happen.
Blade series was more successful than Spawn. And I saw both films. I will still watch Blade. There are times when it's like, you know what? I'm going to sit and watch Blade because I want to see a black man beat the crap out of vampires. Because I get that way sometimes.
Except for
But
the third one. I can't stomach the third
the
one.
third one is a headache. I'm not saying that it isn't, but what I'm saying is, when nobody else wanted to take a chance on Marvel, he was there laying the foundation. And on that foundation, they have built a lot.
And that's
You
why I
know,
have appreciation for the last Deadpool movie.
because yeah,
Because he was in it. Because
he was
Wesley
in
Snipes
it,
was in it.
and it was like, okay, you know what? And there are things about Ryan Reynolds that gets on my nerves. But it was like, you know what? You're smart enough to know to give this man his props. And you're smart enough to know when to make everybody think they're gonna see Steve Rogers and they get Johnny Storm.
Oh, right.
It was like, you have paid it, it's like you have paid enough attention to figure out how to, when people let you work, you know how to work, and you know how to do it, so you do it in a way where people are like, no, that, that's Captain. No, it ain't Captain America. Who's Captain America? Flame on. And you could see all those actors were having fun. That is something about, if you do a movie, if you do one of those movies, it's going to be fun. It's not a hard slog. It's, you can tell they're all having fun. I
I
wonder
swear,
how
I have
the
never seen Hugh
outtakes for
Jackman have so
those.
much fun as
Oh
Wolverine.
my goodness.
He had too much
Not
fun as Wolverine.
not since the first movie. I don't think he's had that much fun with that character since the first movie. You know, and to just see him, like, just, I could just see it every other take. The outtakes for those, if you, he could, Reynolds, if he ever decides to do it, could just take the outtakes from that film and make a whole nother film and have a box office hit. Because people would pay, people would go to the theater and buy a $15 tub of popcorn. I would just to watch that. Um, so I will say, yeah, he sucked his Green Lantern, and I will say a lot of the
But that was the
suckiness.
script.
That I was going to say, a lot of the suckiness of Green Lantern came with the script. Also, how, who Ryan Reynolds is and the characters he likes to play, and Hal Jordan, they weren't on. They should have let Nathan Fillion have that character. That should have been Nathan Fillion's, and instead they had Nathan Fillion play a Green Lantern that everybody hated, and
But
it's
he
like,
knocked it out of the park, though. He knocked out Guy Gardner. But then again, I have to ask myself, what if Ryan Reynolds did play Guy Gardner?
I think
That would
if
have been like,
I
people's
think
mind would have been
switched.
blown.
I think if it had been switched where Nathan Fillion had played Hal, we would have seen a couple of Green Lantern films, because I had seen Fillion, he voiced Green Lantern in the animated DC films.
Mm-hmm.
So, and everybody, I remember I was part of that fan push. Hey, Fillion should be Gardner. I mean, Hal Jordan. Let Fillion play Hal Jordan. A lot of us, we were writing and texting and stuff, and we were all up on X. We were really pushing for it. And I don't know if they picked Reynolds just to thumb their noses at the fandom. The attitude of, we don't care who you want, this is what you're gonna get, and you're gonna like it or not. And it's like, yeah, that's why you've only had one successful movie with that character, and he does better animated.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's like, and I'm glad Fillion got to play a Green Lantern, but he should have been, and that's a hill I'll die on, or at least kill a bunch of other people. I think Fillion should have been Hal Jordan. I think he would have done an exceptionally good job as Hal Jordan, and they would have gotten at least 3 films out of that.
I guess I probably wouldn't be happy until they got Jon Stewart.
And
As much as I like Hal, it's like, as far as my hierarchy of Green Lanterns, if I have to rank them from top to bottom, to me the best Green Lantern of all time was Jon Stewart, followed by Hal, followed by Kyle Rayner. And the only reason Kyle Rayner is third is because he had no training. All of his knowledge as a lantern was on the job. He had no one to teach him.
Okay, the way they do Jon Stewart in the animated, because I was not familiar with Jon Stewart in the book, but I've seen a lot of the DC animated, and I like the one that introduces Stewart. He doesn't have it. He gets it on the job. He gets the ring. He can't get the ring off. He's like, can you take me to somewhere where somebody can explain to me what's going on? And he ends up in the watchtower. And they're ready to whoop his, Green Arrow's ready to whoop on his butt. And it's the Martian Manhunter's like, we're not getting any word from that sector. somebody should go check it out. You go with him. And then they go and the whole thing is he has to learn as he goes.
Well,
And
that was for the animated.
okay, like I said, I don't know his story in the book. I knew him, I've only known him from the animated, that and then the series
Hmm.
where he and Vixen were flirting the hell out of each other and yet nothing ever happened. And it's like, why aren't you riding that?
Well, that's because of the whole thing about the entanglement between him and Shira. And
Oh, that's right.
if you go based upon fully the animated series, John and Shira had a son in the future,
Ah, okay.
and
Wait,
and the son was a part of the Justice League in the future.
got it. Okay. DC has always been a weird. DC used to drive me weird. They would give me headaches with their timelines because um, I loved the Justice League, but I also loved the Legion of Superheroes with Superboy. And when I could, I would grab a Legion if they had, especially if they had Superboy in that issue.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, okay, but when does Superboy get to do this? Because at the same time, he's in high school and college.
See, I kind of follow Legion of Superheroes more so than Superboy. And the thing about when Superboy was with him, I really didn't care too much for him for Legion of Superheroes. But when Superboy was out, I liked it. And then when Supergirl joined them, it got
Exciting.
interesting. It got interesting for a minute because it brought a whole different dynamic than having Superboy there.
I like this. I started reading. I actually read quite a bit when I could get hold of copies because just Legion of Superheroes wasn't an easy book to get mainstream. And at the time, I was, especially considering I was serving overseas and whatnot. And okay, Leia, Legion sucks. Is if you, I'm not gonna die on your hill. So if you want to feel they suck, then you can feel they suck. Um, but I couldn't find, it was a hard book to find. What did you do, Joe? Because she is really not happy with you right now. What did you do? What did you fail to do? Did you not send her a Mother's Day card?
No, I told her Happy Mother's Day and everybody
And
over there Happy Mother's Day.
and
But
and
it's just one of those things. She just like to pick on me. She likes
okay,
to pick on me, trying to get
Leia,
me upset.
I'm gonna send you a belated Happy Mother's Day. I am sorry. For something in the morning, there was a shootout across the street from my apartment, and we took damage. We got our they took out one of our windows. So my Mother's Day was not, and then worse off than that, my sister gave me money to order because she was like, "Are you cooking for Mother's Day?" It's like, "Yeah, the kids want this," and she's like, "No, that's Mother's Day. You should be." And it's like, "I ain't got no money. I'm not worried about it." She's like, "Order something." So we love Five Guys burgers. They make burger bacon cheeseburgers. It was not Joe's fault. It was not Joe's fault. But I ordered a bunch of food. I got a Sprite for my youngest, and Courtney and I each got milkshakes. Sure, hers was Oreo, mine was strawberry banana. This guy brings everything but the milkshakes. And I call Five Guys. They insist that they sent the milkshakes. DoorDash and the guy tells DoorDash that he didn't have any milkshakes. It's like, what? Did the milkshakes disappear between somewhere over the counter and into your car? You know? But yeah, so my Mother's Day was spent like yelling between DoorDash and Five Guys because I really wanted that milkshake. I love we all love the bacon cheeseburgers. We're nuts for bacon cheeseburgers, and they do good ones. But that ruined that and the shootout kind of screwed my Mother's Day. You know, it's,
And I just waiting for it. And she's gonna say, and it's still Joe's fault. That's what I'm waiting for.
it's not Joe's fault. Joe didn't do it. I didn't even until right before the show, I didn't even tell him what happened. I didn't tell any of the guys what happened because I was still trying to process it. Courtney and I were going to watch something together on TV. I was like, you know what? I just want to go in my room and be alone. It
She like I said, I don't argue. It's like if it's my fault, it's my fault. I'm just going to be like, okay, it's my fault.
did I not just want to go in my room and be alone for the rest of that day, Courtney?
I came in to say we were going to watch Megan 2.0 and I got kicked out.
Yeah, she was gonna give me as a Mother's Day gift Megan 2.0, and I was like, no, I just want to be left alone. Especially because I also had to inform my landlord, since I'm managing my building. I had to inform the landlord that there was a shootout and one of our windows was the victim of a shootout that was not our fault. Look at them beady eyes. I'm on you. Poor Joe. I'm so sorry. I should not have mentioned this. I'm sorry.
I'm not a hoodlum. I'm a rapscallion. When are you going to learn that? I'm a rapscallion. You
Oh my
always degrade me. I am a rapscallion, not a hoodlum.
I feel so bad.
I'm
Oh,
not a common thief, so I can't be a hoodlum. I'm a rapscallion.
do you girls like to draw, Leah? Because I've given an assignment to Cliff's girls. We're doing mermaid drawings for mermaid. Oh, hold on.
Now she up here talking about, oh, I'm
Oh,
I'm up here doing the yeoman's work of a Lex Luthor.
you playing the slumlord? You don't even own this building. He doesn't own my building. He
She's
doesn't own.
up here thinking I'm trying to recreate the Super. If you remember that movie, that Joe Pesci movie, the Super.
Oh my goodness! Don't let's not even go there. Let's not even go there. But yeah, so that was my Mother's Day. So I am sorry that I did not personally wish you a happy Mother's Day. I put out a general something and then I kind of just curled up in my room and tried to, forget I existed for a bit.
She did her best not to grab no stabby and go out into the world and be like, it's on. Are y'all up here going to enjoy my Mother's Day? I'm going to show you what a real mother do.
Hey, I had to go a block up and report to the cops that we got hit and then had to be
She said that.
based Wunkler on you. Oh my
And
goodness.
so I'll add Onceler Senior.
I guess so.
I was like, I'll take that over being either Ed the third or Ed the second. Ed the second
Itis.
was a scumbag. Ed the
Oh,
second was a scumbag. Ed Senior, at least he had some class about him.
Leia, look what I found. It's a graphic novel of The Hobbit. The girls might like this. It'd be good to read with them on. Peeky out. Okay.
Oh,
I got it on Amazon. It's like $25. I'm
so,
looking forward to reading it.
oh, you're not going to tell the other story behind that of who you actually got it for?
Don't I have enough heartbreak? Oh, you sent her. Okay, she just got your books and she's gonna take pictures.
Okay.
I bought that book for my youngest, Leah, and said, "Hey, Jack, look, mommy got you the Hobbit and a graphic novel version of the Hobbit. Don't you want it?" And he looked at me and went, "No," and just walked off. Just, I'm like, but it's not, no, like that look that says you you know, oh, you got books for Joe. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I still got books to send to her for Beanie. I got 4 books for Beanie, and I'm still working on the creme de la creme for Beanie for right now. I just haven't been able to track one down at a decent price.
What? It's a book of something?
Oh yes, it's not a book, but it's a comic book.
Ah, okay.
It's a number one of a particular book.
Ooh, that girl's got great taste. I will. Beanie has got great taste in books. And I found a series that Beanie might like because it's 8 and above. So in a couple of years, it'd be good for her. Called The Last Kids on Earth. Lils and Beanies might like it. It's got zombies.
She might like it. I'm trying to think. Is she a zombie person? I don't know. I don't think she's a zombie person like that, but I think she might like it.
I'm gonna review it. So when I get a copy, I will review it so you can decide if you like it, if you think it's something the girls might like.
I do have a couple of books to review later on here because we're going to finish up that series here.
Well, it's
I
almost
must say
eight
this.
o'clock, so you can do your reviews.
Oh, you up there like we're going to get out of here on time here.
I am tired. I've been running. It's been exhausting between dealing with the cops and a few other things. And
No, I did not know that they released a new DuckTales figure.
ooh,
Yeah, Launchpad, the Beagle Boy. Oh, I
the
think she
boy,
means the
Uncle
Beagle Boys. The Beagle. I
uh,
think she talked about the Beagle Boys, Uncle
Uncle
Screws, and
Scrooge
Gizmo
and
Duck.
Gizmo
Yeah,
Duck. Oh, okay.
I'm still kind of upset over one thing, and I like the newer lore behind Darkwing Duck when they re-released DuckTales back in, I want to say 2010, not 2010, 2020 or 2021.
Is that the one that had David Tennant in it
I think so.
playing Scrooge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that version of Darkwing Duck, it explains a lot of stuff better than what the original 90s did.
I did like the 90s dark. We liked the 90s Darkwing. We liked the 90s DuckTales.
90s DuckTales was fun.
We liked the 90s DuckTales, especially when they aged them up to middle schoolers. That was fun. Charles and I, for a long time, went around whenever something didn't quite work the way we wanted, we would just go hiking munches.
Right.
And both knew what the other was talking about. It'd be like, how was your day at school? Hiking munches. Ooh,
Oh, the
sorry.
quack, the quack pack. Okay. She was just telling us about the toys here. But the thing about the 90s Darkwing Duck is that they they made Darkwing kind of like a parallel universe to DuckTales. They weren't one to one. They didn't
Yeah,
fit
they
into
weren't the
Saint
same
Canard. Saint
universe.
Canard was not a city in the DuckTale
It
universe.
wasn't Duckburg.
No. Duckburg and Saint Canard did not exist in the same universe,
Okay.
even though they both had Launchpad. It is technically the same Launchpad that's in both shows.
Okay.
But Saint Canard never existed in the original DuckTales universe.
Got it.
And
Okay.
they never truly resolved why that was. So the shows, existed separately all this time until this recent incarnation of DuckTales.
Okay.
So now
Lynn.
in this recent incarnation of DuckTales, they explain the legend of Darkwing Duck, and Saint Canard is a suburb of Duckburg.
Okay. Let me
So
get that
it's
back
it's
up there.
really, yeah,
She said
Mario DuckTales David Tennant version. Yeah, put
put
Kate
Kate
Suzette in the
Suzette in the
yep.
universe. Okay.
They went back and they revisited a lot of stuff. They brought in a lot of the old Carl Barks stuff from the original Uncle Scrooge into this version of DuckTales too.
Yeah, I think
Because
they
we
got
had
the.
Della. Della was in this version of DuckTales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Donald's sister is in this version of DuckTales.
We didn't see a lot of her. I've actually I decided this summer because there's a lot of, if you have the Disney Channel, there's a lot of cartoons and stuff that Disney did that you would only get to see on either the Mickey Mouse show or Wide World Disney.
Hmm.
Um, and they actually had, it's interesting, they did a collection of musical shorts that are it's kind of, this is the stuff we didn't get to do in Fantasia feel
Hmm.
to it that I actually enjoyed. I actually enjoyed. And they have a bunch of 50s stuff, the snow stuff that's a lot of fun. The Pecos Bill um, things were fun.
Yeah,
And Glum
that's
Tail.
happened in the new DuckTales, by the way. Glumtail.
Ah, okay. I haven't seen
And
those.
yeah, you have to watch it because the biggest thing that happened in Duckburg that would forever haunt Scrooge from this point forward is how Glumgold saved the world.
Ah,
Flintheart Glumgold actually saved the world
wow.
by being himself.
Okay.
It is one of the most hilarious outcomes for a season ending point of DuckTales.
Hmm.
But it didn't end the story, but it's just like how that one season ended with the whole thing with the moon attack and the people in the moon about to get ready to take over, and then Glumgo does something stupid that ends up saving the whole entire world. It's just like brilliant.
That's that's gotta suck when the guy you look down on does something stupid and it ends up being the thing that saves everybody. You know, that's gotta suck, especially if you think you're the smartest person in the room.
But he let him have it. He let him have his day, and that's one thing I like about the David Tennant Scrooge. He let Glumgo have his day.
Oh, okay.
He did allow him to have his day, but it was just like one of the most messed up happenstance out of all things. Because it's like, oh my goodness, Scrooge is about to get ready to lose this, that, or the other. It's like, haha, I'm about to prove Scrooge wrong. It's like, I'm the real hero of the day. And he does something stupid and it worked.
My understanding was Tennant had a lot of fun doing that series.
Hmm.
He really had a good time doing that series, especially because he's a dad. So this was something he could do that his kids could watch that wasn't like super adult. His kids at that time could watch it and not feel embarrassed.
Yeah, she's kind of spoiling it right here. I didn't want to get into depth about how it actually happens. She said, the attacking force, he was adept to stop Scrooge. So anything Scrooge did was thwarted. So he just like, wait, what if we use Glumgo's stupid plan? Don't
Okay.
for the exact words of Scrooge McDuck.
Oh no. Now I've got to get on to Disney and pull it up and sit and watch it.
Don't for his exact words. I was like, but what if we use Glumgo's stupid plan? It's like, it's like, well, it's like it's worth a shot, and it worked.
Well, that's good.
And then Glumgo was like, see, Scrooge, I'm smart. You're not. I'm the one that saved the earth. You did it.
Oh, that's got to be a headache.
It was a classic moment of DuckTales. Classic. If you like the rivalry between Glumgold and Scrooge, they put that on 10 for this recent version of DuckTales. It was on 10. I mean, it's like this version of DuckTales, everything was explained. Everything was truly explained. They explained who Mrs. Beakley truly was and
Okay.
how she was employed by Scrooge. They explained everybody and how they came about working for Scrooge.
Oh,
The
okay.
only bad thing about it was that in this version of DuckTales, Duckworth, Duckworth, yeah, Duckworth was already dead, but
Oh,
he
okay.
still resides in the mansion as a ghost.
Okay. I'm gonna hunt him.
And trust me, you do not want Duckworth finding out that you're there against Scrooge.
Ooh, there you go. You're
As
gonna
a
get it.
ghost haunting, haunting his mansion, haunting the mansion, he will mess you up
Well, he's protector of the house.
of that house. But there's certain people that you just don't mess with. You don't mess with him. You don't mess with Mrs. Beakley.
And you don't mess with Scrooge.
Scrooge, on the other hand, I don't know. It depends on who you are because Gluggo is just a glutton for punishment. Ma Beagle, she is who she is. Anybody else, that's your ass. Yes, Duckworth was the best butler ever. And when he passed, he could have gone to heaven, but he decided, no, I'm staying here. This is where my place is.
Okay.
And that's the key thing. One of the things that I liked about the new DuckTales is that once Scrooge saw value in you, he treated you like family. He was that loyal to you. He was really that loyal to you and everything. And that was the key thing. It's like everybody from like Duckworth, Mrs. Beakley, dude, what was the inventor's name? I can't even think of the inventor's name. The inventor's name that eventually came up with the armor for Gizmo Duck.
Okay.
Anybody Launchpad. If you was hired by Scrooge McDuck and he liked you, you were family. He will not
Ah,
turn his back on you. If you turn your back on him, he cuts you off. But if you loyal to him, he would never turn his back on you. You had Gyro Gear Loose. Gyro in this one, he originally was evil.
oh, okay.
He wanted to create the next big thing to overtake Scrooge, but Scrooge kept him up under his employ because he's up here saying, "You're smarter than what you led on to, and I know you're going to create the next big thing." But he
Right.
always thought that Scrooge was being sarcastic to him,
Oh, okay.
that he underestimated Gyro's intelligence. It's like, no, he had a lot of respect for Gyro. It's quite the opposite. It was quite the opposite. And it's like from beginning to end, because I'm not going to ruin the end of DuckTales because the end of DuckTales revealed the actual history of one character. And that's Webigail and
Okay.
who she really is.
Okay. I haven't seen that particular series yet, so
Yeah.
don't
But
spoil
like I
it.
said, everybody was thoroughly explained and I like this DuckTale universe. I love it. I wish they would come that this DuckTale universe would come out in comic book form. I would buy it each and every week. That's how good it was.
Wow.
Even with what was the cousin that Donald can't stand, the goose that was always lucky. He gets by in life because of his luck.
I don't know that one.
I mean, they brought him in. It's like they had everybody from the original 87 to 90 series plus the stuff from Carl Barks, and it fit together. It was a nice love letter to the original comic book stuff that they did back in like the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, Gladstone Gander.
Gladstone Gander. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't. I don't know that
it's
character.
like Gladstone always gets on his life because of his extremely luck. He's like, Nothing ever goes wrong for him,
Oh wow.
except for this one time, and he had to end up tricking Scrooge and Donald and the nephews to come out to visit him in this pseudo Las Vegas town.
Oh, okay, dokie. A Suda Vegas.
Yeah, it
That
was a
that
pseudo Vegas
sounds
town.
fun.
So he's up here. He's up here talking about, it's like, yeah, I'm living up the life and this, that, and the other. Donald is just like, oh, I can't stand him. It's like he never had to work hard and day his life and this, that, and the other. He just getting on with his life and blah, 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 blah. But what people didn't know is that Gladstone Luck got him in serious trouble with this one entity that pretty much latches onto you because of your luck. And
Ah,
because he was the luckiest person ever in DuckTales history, he went into that entity's casino. The entity saw him and he made a deal. We kind of
oh,
like the whole deal with the devil type thing, and he lost.
oh no.
And it's not that he lost because he lost the game. He lost because he won, but in winning, it revealed to that entity what he was, and he latched on to him.
Okay.
And because of that deal that was made, he could not get out of it unless somebody replaced him.
Oh,
So he was
okay.
hoping, that
It was like
Scrooge
a
would have
monkey.
been
It was
more
a
luckier
monkey's
than
paw.
him.
It was like a monkey's paw situation where the only way to get out of it is that you stick it onto somebody else.
Yes, right. So he was hoping that somebody else in his family could take his place where he could get out of the situation here. But I'm not going to ruin the end of that episode. But that was a classic end to that episode, because the one thing that had happened in that one is it came back down. Yes, yeah, like Scrooge's. Well, but again, I believe Scrooge's first dime had a curse behind it too, because of the person that gave it to him. Because if I remember correctly, in the comic books, Scrooge's first dime from where he made from shining somebody's shoes, I believe the person said to him, as long as you have this dime and make the proper moves, you will always be successful. I believe that was the words that was said to Scrooge when he was paid that first dime. And ever since then, as long as he didn't use that dime in any untoward way, he was, everything that he did afterwards was always successful.
That dime became the cornerstone of his fortune.
Mm-hmm. That first dime, and
Uh,
it fermented his mantra: being tougher than the toughies and smarter than the smarties.
okay.
But anyway, we got it, guys, too far. But yes, if you
What
get a
books are
chance
you
to get
doing?
jump on Disney Plus, look at the newer version of DuckTales, not the 80 series. The one I want to say is like 2010, not 2010, 2020, 2021, 2022, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It, it,
Okay.
it, it was, well, no, I want to say 2019, maybe 2019, 2018.
Also, check out their classic animation. There are some gems. A lot of it is stuff that has not seen the light of day for decades,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of fun. It's really, and you can see in some of them where it's like, okay, this they have a suite of pieces that are set to music, and you realize, okay, these were things that people pitched for Fantasia that didn't make the cut, so they got to do this. You also get to see the Three Amigos one, which is Donald and
I thought they would call something else, the Contradors or something like that.
I think it's the Three Amigos or the Caballeros or
The
something like that.
Caballeros, the three Caballeros.
The Three Caballeros,
Caballeros,
because
yeah.
It's when it's Donald, it's the parrot, and I always forget the last one.
It's pretty much Donald in Mexico, where he
Yeah,
became like a superhero. He was like a
yeah, but it
superhero to the
was
people.
America was making more inroads into making relations with diplom- good diplomatic
Mhm.
allyship with Mexico. And this is a way to say, hey, we're working with them. They're good guys.
And
Uh,
didn't they recently made a movie for the Three Caballeros too? There was like a recent movie. I would say somewhere about like 2015, somewhere around there. The Three
there
Caballeros
might be,
was
I'll have to check
re-released.
and see. If I find it, I will let you know. But like I said, they have that one. They also have a couple of other, they did not just that one, they did a couple of pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. And saludos amigos.
yeah.
Um, but they did a couple of different pieces that were based on Spanish language and music and stuff that are really good. So yeah, if you're interested in classic Disney animation, go check that stuff out. You won't be disappointed. You
I
know,
still, I still feel that they won't release a lot of the World War II stuff, like the World War II Donald Duck cartoons and everything.
if I remember, I've only seen um the Heil and Hitler's face. I don't think I've seen that one. When the Führer says, "We is the master race," we go
Mhm.
Heil, Heil. That one I have not seen in over 20 years. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
the one. That's the
I
one I was thinking about. The one in 2015, the last Three
yeah,
Caballeros.
but I have not seen that one that they did. And the only reason I knew about it is because Dr. Demento played the music.
Mhm.
It would sometimes pop up on Dr. Demento, and then I forgot. I think PBS or somebody showed it. It's like, oh, this hasn't been seen in forever. We're gonna show it tonight, and I got to see the actual cartoon for it. Um, yeah, the only other World War II stuff I got to see was, they would have the Fleischer and the Warner Brothers cartoons would have the turn off that light joke,
Well, I remember that,
which was
I
the
believe, and Fleischer actually did cartoons for the military.
yeah, and
What was it called? Private Snafu
but
cartoons.
you know,
I remember the Fleischer did those
but I think, like I said,
for I believe it was for the like the army
if
during
you
that
were
time.
born after 1965 or 68, a lot of people, if they see those older cartoons and it ends with somebody screaming, turn off that light, probably don't get what they mean. And I
Exactly.
didn't get it because I was watching, and I was at my maternal grandmother's, and I didn't quite get the joke, and she explained it to me, what that was about, and how they used to have the guys who would go through not just here but also in England and other places, where each neighborhood had a guy
To make
who was
certain that
appointed to make sure that at a certain time of night all the lights went out, um and whatnot. And so, but at the because it's like, as a child in the 60s, and you're seeing that, and it's like, okay, I get everything but that last joke. And then, to have an adult go, this is why this was funny, or this is why they did this at the time. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it was like, okay, now I get it. Now it makes sense. But for those of you who are like, if you ever see a classic bunny cartoon and somebody screams, turn out that light at the end, it's because they had people that were there and that was their job. And if you left the lights on, you get bombed. What's the belief? So, now I just when you
well,
explain,
like
if you have to explain the joke,
it
you
go,
ruin it.
yeah, it's like you have to understand what happened. I think it was like during World War II,
It was during World War II.
World War II, and the whole, if I remember the legend correctly, about the sky witches.
Oh, that's Russia. That's why the Russian front. That's why going to the Russian front was such a horror for the Nazis, because of, and I think I explained this, the night witches. I think we talked about this
Hmm.
before. The night witches, these girls as young as 14 up to about 19 years old in
Crop dusters. That's
crop
fucked up.
dusters at best.
If they
And
saw a light, that was your ass.
well, that was just it. These girls didn't care about the lights. All they were just given they were given specific, they would be given specific areas
Mhm.
to target, and they would get so long and they would come down to cruising speed, turn off their engines, and then once they knew they were over a specific area, they would drop. And they started calling these girls das Nacht. It's das Nacht something. I forget what the word which was. But you would hear the scream of the bomb coming down on you. And their planes, because they couldn't turn their engines on until they had dropped their load. And they didn't, this was not a fighter jet where it had the thing where you load the thing and it just opens up and it drops. No, these girls had these bombs in the cockpits with them. So they literally had to get to a point where their planes were coming down. They would grab these things, pop them out, and then vroom, start back up. And they never knew, they never struck at the same time every night. These girls were heroes, but they made the Russian front a horror, which is why if you've ever seen an old Hogan's Hero episode, and Colonel Klinger would be threatening Schultz with a trip to the Russian front, and you would see that look of horror on his face. That's what they were afraid of. They
Mhm.
were the witches. They called them witches because they said these women could not be human. They didn't know these were 14-year-old girls as young as 14 and as old as maybe 19, um, who learned to fly just so that they could do this. And these girls, and a lot of them died, but these girls the Germans, it was as much psychological as it was physical, because you never know when these girls would show up, and you never knew your unit was the one that was going to get taken out. And that's history for tonight.
Yeah, our version of hysteria. except,
And they were it was
except we do not have a misinformation.
yeah, but it was one of those things where I have seen footage of soldiers who were stationed there talking about what that was like, that where they were stationed and you didn't know. They would come because they were told to they couldn't put their lights on because that would make them immediate targets. And yet somehow, that's also why they called them witches, because somehow these young women always knew how to find them, and they always knew how to get. And not knowing, these girls were just approximating it. They were given maps and said, "Oh, this," and they had no escorts. They had no escorts or anything. If they were shot down behind enemy lines, they had no one to help get them out. If they survived the crash, they were on their own. So and the fact that we as a nation didn't know who these girls were, whatever you think of Soviet Russia, before the Cold War, they were an ally. They were an ally. And Russia was holding down their front, which made it more possible for D-Day and whatnot, because they were wearing down the Germans on that front. They were wearing a shit out of Germany. They were, and you had men who would hear tales of the Russian front who were trying to figure out how to get the hell to Switzerland, because they did not. That was someplace they did not want to go. And you had a lot of men who, if they survived that first couple of bombings, they deserted. because they would rather be known as cowards than dead. Because they started bringing they fear makes you when you don't the unknown will destroy your mind. And they didn't know that these were women, little girls basically doing this to them. And they and understand this is these are the Germans. The guys, the brothers, in the back, they have the brothers grin tales. They're making up all sorts of stories about if these women bomb you and you die, you know, their minds were just making up they were losing it. They were losing it. So, it was an interesting
It
what can
was
I
an
say? It was an interesting
interesting time.
time.
Yeah, it
It
was an
was an
interesting time.
interesting time.
But now it's time for something that I need to go ahead and do here. We got to do the 2 books and call it a night.
Yes, because I was gonna stay up to watch my show, but I gotta go to bed. Always with the heavy New York accent too.
Yep.
Always with the heavy New York accent.
So, as promised, we are going to finish up the Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over. We got issue 5 and 6.
Ooh.
5 and 6 to take care of tonight here. And to be quite honest, I would save that comment for later. But I'm going to skip over. I want to skip over a lot of what was going on in Smallville, because what was going on in Smallville had nothing to do with the main story. It was just it's really filler. And like I said, I explain why at the very end. At the very end, when we get past issue number 6 here, but we're going to go right back into what's going on with Tora and Beatrice while they're in hell. So pretty much, Etrigan shows Beatrice what exactly was happening with Tora and whether or not she was willing to make the deal to save her mom and everything. So Etrigan, being the demon that he is, he's kind of like, well, it's no longer up to you anymore. It's more along the lines. It's like, did she make the decision? If she said yes, you're taking her spot and all this other stuff. So, she's up there. It's like, well, she couldn't have this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. I know that she missed her mother, but I had nobody. She's like the only family that I ever had, blah, 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 blah. It's like, we find more about Beatrice and everything. So, like I said before, it's like I'm not dealing with that. So now we get back to Tora's side. And this is the whole thing about what was going on with Tora. So the entity that was telling Tora is like, the only way that you can save your mom is to actually have Beatrice to replace her. It's like, we need a decision. It's like, make your decision now. Make your decision now. This, that, and the other. It's like, we need a choice from you. And she's just up here. It's like, when to make her mind, when to make her mind. And she's thinking to herself. It's like everything that was going on. And what makes me more angry is that when we get to a pivotal point about what was going on in hell, they come back to the story that was going on in Smallville, which to me is a minor story. It really didn't fit. And then they really was playing up the Smallville story. And then we get more ads. And then we get back to it. So it's like, now, before we find out what she decided, Beatrice like, fine, forget this, take me to her, this, that, yada, 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 yada. So they fly off and everything. And then, hell, it's like whatever's going on in hell, it's like they're really teeing up on Beatrice about her,
the decision
life
she has to make.
About her life before she became like a superhero and everything. So, how, she was a supermodel and everything, and, how they kind of like made her ugly there, this, that, and the other. So she's like, facing the, the evils and everything about, what's going on with her life and everything. And, how, she broke up with this one guy and this, that, and the other. And Torres there, it's like, don't look back, this, that, and the other. And then, going through everything. And then she meets up with her father. So hell produced a version of her father and everything. And, he's like, finally, I'm back to somebody that, she was related to and this, that, and the other. And she was like, she thinks that her actual father was here in hell with her and everything. And she's going through the flashbacks about how she was trained, as a fighter and all this other stuff, before her powers and stuff have manifested. And she's up here. It's like, well, at least we're together. At least the family is back together. This, that, and the other. I won't let nobody hurt you, type deal. All touchy feely type deals and everything. And then we shift back over, to Tora. Tora's like, fine, I'll give you my answer. And she pretty much tries to put out the flames around her mother and everything. And eventually it's like, well, the one thing that I figure out, you're not my mother. And it turns out to be a lich that was pretending to be her mom and everything.
Oh, so it was a setup.
It was a setup, yes. So she's up here, figured out that, everything is a setup. So she figured out on her own that, everything is, everything that was here is set to mess up with their minds and everything, since they switch bodies and everything. So
and put them against each
hell
other.
is really trying to play up on Beatrice's wish more so than anything else. So at the end of this issue, Beatrice is pretty much like, okay, fine, I guess since there's no other way, I will stay. She's almost at the point where she's almost convinced that she should stay here.
No.
To let Tora go free, she is willing to stay. And then we get how many pages of another free comic here?
Is that John
preview
Stewart?
of a comic, another 4-page preview of Justice League Red. Justice League Red #1 again.
Is that John
Extra
Stewart?
pages that could have been used for the story and everything here.
Is that John Stewart?
No, that's
Oh,
a
okay.
different Lantern.
Okay,
altogether.
I couldn't. He looked so shadowy, I couldn't tell who that was supposed to be.
I have no idea here. I'm trying to see if they called him by name.
Yeah, since I switched from Cricket to Comcast, I no longer get all those Justice League animated because I lost HBO Max, and they're like, if you want to see this, you have to pay for it now.
Yep. So that was the end of that one, which brings us to the last issue of the series.
Ooh.
So in the last issue, issue number 6, then again, gotta love the Terry Dodson cover.
They look so happy.
And again, we're skipping about what's happening in Smallville, because I could sum up with everything that's happening in Smallville in about 3 sentences. Because
turn out those lights.
Yeah. So now we get the finale. We get the finale here. Now Tora's coming to look for Beatrice and everything. So she's, she has to fight her way through to get to Beatrice and everything. So because she's trying to find Beatrice and whatnot, and so everything is happening. They finally got Tora trapped, and then Tora ended up using Beatrice's powers because remember they're still scrambled.
Oh, that's right.
They still haven't separated from the two. So
Okay.
even though she can still use her ice powers in hell, she also has access to Beatrice powers here. And then we get to more things about Smallville and all this other stuff here. The only thing I like about the Smallville story here is pretty much Martha Kent. Say what you're going to say about Superman's family, but Martha, in the way that they write her in the modern sense, I like what they're doing. So pretty much as Tora is fighting her way, Beatrice is pretty much about to get totally consumed as far as her guilt and everything, and pretty much, hell is really letting her have it. It's like, you're repulsive, you're vain, you're immoral. It's like, Father, please make it stop. This, that, the other. It's like, nope, they got you. It's like they really messing with her head and everything. And then out of nowhere, here comes a hand that says, like, I'm here, it's time for us to go, and this, that, and the other. And it was Tora.
Yay.
And Tora was like, no, This place is really geared to mess with your head. None of this stuff is real. Let's go. It's like we're now back to the way that we need to be. Let's go. We have, we have fulfilled whatever it needed to break this wish and everything here. And this is the part that comes back down to how some of the other people that's in Smallville that dealing with Tora and Beatrice finally comes to, aka Mayor Martha Kent, and they finally had a finalized discussion on everything to the magnitude of what was going on with that story. But like I said, I waited to the very end to talk about the Smallville story. So pretty much they're saying it's pretty much Tora was telling her, it's like, so everything that was going on, with her mother, her father, all of it was a test to, to make certain that the reason why they came there to break the witch was pretty much pure in what they truly wanted in life. So after everything was said and done, they actually got put back in their proper spots and everything. Etrigan, pretty much it's like, oh, you crashed this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, you crashed, we crashed because, they finally figured out what was needed to be done. Then we get more of the Smallville story about what was truly in the vault. And everything to that magnitude has nothing to do with anything worthwhile. And then we finally get to where they needed to go, and they finally found who they thought was originally Guy Gardner, who was really not. It was just the Lich again. That was pretty much, keeping them there because of the wish that was made, this, that, and the other, and talked about the ring and blah, 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 blah. And then, after everything was done, it's like, no, it's like, take me, I deserve this, that, and the other. And then Beatrice pushes Tori out the way, takes the ring, puts it on, and next thing you know, a crevice opened up under Tora. She starts falling and everything. She's like, okay, fine. If I have to die, I have to die. But nope, not going to happen. Beatrice saves Tora. Everything is back to normal. And then, they fight off whatever was left. And then Etrigan open up the portal and they come back.
Okay, so Etrigan let them go.
Yeah.
Yay.
So now all of a sudden, with everything that was going on at the coffee shop and all this other stuff, they finally come back. Everybody's back in their rightful bodies, this, that, and the other. Martha asked Tora, it's like, how did everything go, this, that, and the other, because again, Martha has been a great guide for Tora so far in the Fire and Ice series here. Another reason why I like the way that they wrote her character in this. So pretty much they asked what was missing, this, that, and the other, and pretty much the robot is now the mayor. It's now the mayor and this, that, and the other. So it's just like, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, okay, fine, this, that, and the other. And she goes back to Satana's hat. And it's like, oh, it's one of those type of things. So let me go ahead and reach back into that hat. And next thing you know, everybody was like, no, stop. And that's how it ends.
Okay.
But the overall story that was happening in Smallville was pretty much the little bitty shops in that strip mall where Beatrice and Taurus started up their their barbershop, their beauty salon.
Mm-hmm.
The people who wanted to make a casino there in Smallville bought out that whole block. So it was pretty much trying to figure out, do they allow this new development to buy out this whole block, or do they sell out in this, that, or the other? And pretty much Martha, being the calm head about everything, pretty much got the rest of them together and they figured out what they was going to do. Had nothing to do with the main story about Tora and Beatrice, having their bodies and power switched. Had nothing to do with anything. Had the whole Gorilla Grodd fight had nothing to do with what was going on. All of this was filler. And usually, with that being done, I would be ready to toss the books and be like, oh, this is a bunch of rubbish here. But
But at
because
least
of
we
the
knew.
Adventure in Hell was a good trip within itself, just for the main characters, I was able to separate the filler from the rest from the main story and was able to enjoy it. So if you
Yeah,
don't care about what was going on with the main cast of that was in Smallville, like in the first series, in the first miniseries, where it was like Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, because the supporting characters played a major role in the bigger story. In this series, it's just filler and just like give me more of what could have happened in their search.
I
They
kind
could have done a hell of a lot more to build up the relationship between Tora and Beatrice and why the monkey paw wish wanted Beatrice so bad. You could have played that up to like volume 10 if you would have did the story correctly. We did not need the extra filler that you put in from like issue number 3 all the way to the end. Issue number 3 started this whole stuff with the filler that was going in with Smallville, and we just really didn't need it. But
but I
overall, uh Fire and Ice when Hell Freezes Over, if I had to give it a grade out of 0 out of 10, it would probably be somewhere about a 4 because of the filler. It's
okay.
not a bad story when you look at the main parts of it, the main crux of it, but the filler just takes you out of it.
Playing out devil's advocate, I guess. Because sometimes you see a show and something happens with the main characters, and then all these side characters, it's like, what? Their lives don't go on while main characters are off doing blah blah blah. It's like, well, what about those people who are over here? Are they just sort of sitting around going, well, they disappeared. I guess we're just going to sit here and not live our lives.
Well,
So
it's
I
not. It's
mean,
not about that. It's
but
not
I
about that.
guess whoever the writers decided, whoever the editor, whoever was senior editor on the book, and the
Mhm.
writers decided to sort of that to sort of like the stories are kind of like and I get it. There were, I mean, when I was a kid, I remember stories that, especially if they were continuous, it was like, meanwhile, back on the farm. So you would get the feeling that, okay, well, they're off doing XYZ. They're not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for the heroes to come back, as if their lives don't, there nothing goes on when those folks aren't there. So I guess for me, the idea of seeing, and I didn't read the book, so I don't know how the action goes through. And it may have been like, if you're really invested in that main story, to suddenly go, meanwhile, back in Smallville, yeah, that might be an uncomfortable sort of transition, because you're built in to what's going on with those main characters. So when they suddenly get up and snatch you out and say, meanwhile, it's back in Smallville, you're kind of like, but I want to stick with this story. I don't care what's going on here. I want to go back to what's going on there.
Mhm.
And so I get that, but I also get, from the writing standpoint, they were kind of like sort of juxtaposing the two to say, hey, just because these guys are gone doesn't mean stuff's not happening there. Doesn't mean there's that stuff that they have to deal with. And yay, because Martha Kent is very much the voice of reason, calm assurance, which is pretty much the Martha Kent I remember as a girl reading those early, because there used to be Superboy comics,
Mhm.
so you would, it happened, they would talk about, they would gloss over his early years, but from about what, 16, 17, when he was, oh, I can't go out for the baseball team, because he really wanted to play baseball, he really wanted to play football, but John would say, you can't do that, because that's not, people will find
There's
out
no
that
way
you're,
there was no way to tamper back who you really were.
yeah. So, because I remember Superboy, he had gone out and done the hero thing, and then he got back in time for the local baseball team,
Mhm.
and there was a ball that had been, hit, the ball had been hit, it was out, and people, you know how people are trying to catch it,
Mhm.
and it was like he had to purposely sort of sit on his hands like, I want that ball, I can't catch that ball. So the girl that he was with caught the ball,
Mhm.
and he just had to sit there, and and everybody's like, oh man, you mean a girl caught the ball and you didn't? And he had to sort of sit there and take it, because the alternative, as far as they believed, was too dangerous, because it wasn't just his life even. And I remember reading that book and thinking, that's got to be such a hard thing as a child, as a teenager, to grow up with, because your decisions isn't just, and in the Black community, you learn pretty early as a child. It isn't, you don't leave the house without getting a stern lecture. Back in the day when I was growing up, you didn't leave the house without a very stern lecture about your behavior, because it
Mhm.
wasn't just what people would say about you. It was how it reflected on your parents, anybody else with you, your great. It was, you would step out of the house, out of your neighborhood, and suddenly you had the whole weight.
Mhm.
It was like you were carrying the very weight of Blackness on your back, and it's like every little move, it would make you afraid sometimes to breathe. And I remember I sneezed once in a theater and almost like went mental, because it was a quiet part of the movie, and
Mhm.
I sneezed, and the people were like, oh my god, and I just went into this quiet panic.
Mhm.
And I don't even remember what happened in the movie, because I spent most of it just trying not to scream, because I was panicking of, other people, somebody heard me sneeze, and it's like, because it was, when I was a child, it was, you do something wrong, and the person seeing you didn't have to know who you were. It was suddenly, oh, because all Black people are like that.
Mhm.
We were told, act your age, not your skin color.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, Prince put it, act your age, not your shoe size. But when I was a girl, it was act your age, not your skin color. So I kind of understand that you have to be careful, and he has to. I think maybe that's why I liked those Superboy comics when I was a girl, because there was always where he had to be careful. He was trying to have a life because he was a kid,
Mhm.
just trying to figure out how to be a kid. And on top of it, though, here is this thing. And he didn't know about Krypton or any of that at this point. He doesn't know about any of that
Well,
stuff.
if I remember correctly, Jonathan was kind of like, especially when it came to football, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like it would have been okay if everything would have been fair. And it's like, what do you mean everything is not fair? It's like, think about it. What happens if somebody comes to try to tackle you? How are you going to explain to them how they got broken bones and you just didn't move?
Yeah. And but that's what I'm saying.
It's like, people was, it's like you have to understand the mindset of a small community, like
And
in
in a
Smallville. It's
small
like
and small
people
town
would
America.
talk. It would put a bullseye not only on you, but us as a family to figure out what you really are. And
And not
we
only
don't want
that,
people to know who you are as of yet.
but Smallville itself, that understanding that he could be endangering not just the Kents, but also Smallville. So
Hmm.
he is this young man dealing with just being a young man, but always with this unseen pressure of everything you do. You have to be careful with everything you do, because it could set off a catastrophic change of events from which there is no return.
And that was the key thing and reason why Jonathan was so much of a true father to him, because it's like, if it really boiled down to it, it's like, yeah, we could toss the baseball around here. It's like I could toss you a few pitches and you could swing for the fences as much as you like, but you can't go out around other people to play
You can't
football
you can't play football. You
because
can't
of
play
this.
you know.
because of this, or if somebody found out about that, how are you going to explain it to them? There's no way to truly explain it.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to what you were saying about the filler, and this is the thing that really pissed me off about this series here. You're correct. The first series, Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, the supporting cast played an integral part of them integrating themselves into Smallville. So the beauty salon, the people who help run their beauty salon, and all this stuff played a factor in the story.
Okay.
By the time we get to issue 3 in this series, the people who were in Smallville, their part of the story ended once they figured out that they had to go to hell. When they went to Gotham City to go find Jason Blood, it was pretty much understood that the rest of their lives would go on. There was no need to go back to what was going on in Smallville, other than the fact that whoever wrote this did not write this as a pure Fire and Ice story. Though there was no true interconnection between, hey, we got to go take care of that, you guys do this here. The only thing that they played up on was the simple fact that they left I forgot the name of the character in charge of the beauty salon, and from there they tried to trump up that story in such a way that they brought in Superman to fight Gorilla Grodd, because Gorilla Grodd wanted to go see his baby sister, who again is in an asylum in Smallville. People keep forgetting that Welcome to Smallville was not just a town where all these low grade villains was allowed to come back and be reformed, to reform. It was also a place where Superman will bring other lower rated heroes to keep them out of trouble. You are now up under my watchful eye. I know my mom would keep you guys safe and talk some sense into you if you get out of hand. And this, that, and the other. That was established in the first series. But because they left somebody in charge of the beauty salon, the rest of that Smallville stuff did not have a part in the main story. It was filler. It was like, okay, it's time for us to take you away from the main story to show you something more whimsical, to keep the story kind of whimsical. Because the original series was very whimsical. This started to become more serious.
And they were trying to keep some of that whimsy from the original series continuing, and to say, hey, just so you know, Smallville isn't sitting here static as if they were frozen in time. Life is going on, things are happening, things are moving forward, maybe not in ways that you want to go. It was a choice that they made in the storytelling. The thing about the choices that we as writers make in our storytelling is the you may make it is not unheard of for a writer to make a choice that a reader will sit there and go, well, I didn't find that interesting. For you, however, another reader might see that and go, ooh, I actually liked what was going on in Smallville. Two
But,
different readers, same
but
story, but
that
just interpreting it different.
but that messes up the end to me. That messes up the end to me. Because remember, the end of the story is like the people in Smallville is like, okay, fine. Well, look at that, the big old hole and everything. They come back and it's like, hey guys, we're back. This, that, and the other, yada yada yada. We're happy that we're back. You guys are back. This, that, and the other. And the first thing that they asked was, what did we miss? That
And
set up a further issues about flashback. This is everything that happened while you was gone.
and you don't
I
have to
did
see
not
it
need to
because
see the filler stuff at that point.
okay, but it's how they chose to tell the story. It didn't sit well with you as a reader, but there are other readers who are gonna sit there and enjoy it. Is
Hmm.
all I'm saying. So I see both sides of it. There are things I've read and it's like, geez, I could have done without that. That's unnecessary. I've written things where they're going, well, did you need to do that? And it's like, well, it was the choice I made at the time, you know.
Right.
And someone at DC, when they wrote this, sat there, looked at the book, and said, "Okay, fine." So it was approved. It was now what you can do, as we both know as comic readers and comic people who've read comics since our childhood, is when folks haven't enjoyed editorial the editorial bend of a book, they get back and say, that book sucked. They write back to they write letters to the editor and they'll say, hey, you know what, this part of the story, kisses, A+. This part of the story, maybe we could have did without it, you know and, and because they don't know how it's, that's the whole point of being a writer. You don't know, it's like a meal. You don't know how well you did until people are sitting down eating it. If they finish the meal, nobody drops dead, and they're all satisfied, yay me. uh, they sit them they finish the meal, you've got one bathroom and they're all fighting to get into it because stuff's shooting out both ends. You screwed the pooch. So I would say, why contact the editor, say, hey, I don't like the choice you made in the telling of this story. They're not going to reissue the book, no, but at least they'll have somebody getting up and say, you know what, I think you could have did this differently.
And this, you want to know why I'm looking at the book again?
Why?
I know back in the day there used to be a section where it's like comments from the editor if you have
I used to
questions.
love to read those.
They're
If
not
people would write
in
in,
modern comic books anymore.
they
Unless
don't
you
do
know
that
somebody on
anymore.
the inside. Unless you know somebody on the inside, that part is what is truly missing. You want to gain fans back, start opening up your door and listening to the people who are actually
Wow,
reading.
that was
Start
as
putting that stuff back out here, for people to be like, hey, we're going to take the time to write you an email, or even better yet, write you a physical letter. Because if we're spending our money to send stuff to you via U.S. mail, you should take the time to listen. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it used to be where you would write the editors. I'm just totally, hold on. I am totally shocked
Mhm.
that, and I have not looked at a lot of those old comic books, but one of the things I used to read comics for were the letters to the editor, because people would write and they would ask questions. I actually told Joe Duffy, and she had to go ask another guy, because it's like, I always dreamed that one day I'd write a letter worthy of Stan giving me a no prize. And she had to look, and she said, no prize. And the guy next to her was like, because I guess he was listening to the conversation, and goes, yeah, no prize is this thing that we would give out, if you either made a comment that we really liked, or if you pointed out something in storytelling that perhaps we didn't get.
Yeah,
We
if
didn't.
they made a mistake in the storytelling and you provided the correct fix for it,
Yeah, they would
you
give
just
you a
you just
no,
couldn't point out something that was bad. You have to also give a fix for it, a
and a
legitimate
no
fix.
prize, and you didn't get like a prize, but a no prize was like, we're acknowledging the fact that we biffed it, and you caught it, and you caught it correctly. So that was basically your no prize, because you got public recognition. Because
And it was
back
something
then they
physically
didn't
that
have a
they gave to
problem
you.
in admitting that they were wrong.
It was something that they also physically gave to you. It was like a certificate and something else that they gave to you here.
Oh, okay. See,
And there was an actual no prize comic that actually reviewed some of bigger the bigger corrections that people caught and the solutions done in story format.
okay. I
So there
never
was
saw the
a
no
there was a
prize
no
comic.
prize comic #1 that went back to catch all of those corrections, and they highlighted some of the solutions for it.
I need to catch up with Nurse and see if he can and I can find the issue through here. Speaking of which, really quick, let me point
Mhm,
out I did talk to James
mhm.
on Free Comic Book Day, so they do want to give me the signing. I just have to find a date. I got to call him this Monday because I things happening the way they did. I didn't get a chance to call him this week, but I got to call him this coming Monday or Tuesday and set a date. Um, we'll try not to do a Thursday so it doesn't, you know,
Well,
it
I
doesn't
do have to say this
clash with the show.
on the 26th of this month. I was supposed to be interviewed by Heroes for Hire Comics. That's another YouTube show. They're interviewing me. It'd be the first time that they have me on here. So
And when
guess
were
what?
you
I'm
going
going
to
to be
tell
acting
me?
a fool. I'm going to be acting a fool on that show.
When were you going to tell me? When were you going to? He didn't tell us. He did not.
I was
Angry
saving it
lips.
for I
I
was
will
saving
go to
it for
his
the
house and
Saturday
smack.
show. I was saving it for the Saturday show when we got closer to it, but I'm letting you know now since you're mentioning about your signing here because it's like, yeah, that would be kind of cool because you have your signing, your upcoming signing. I have the interview with Heroes for Hire Comics on
Well,
YouTube.
well, we have company coming next month from the
Okay.
19th to the 26th, Courtney.
It is 14 to the 19th.
Oh, 14th to the 19th. We have a guest coming 14th to the 19th of next month.
Okay.
So, what I'm hoping to do is either somewhere, and my oldest son's birthday is the 13th of July. So,
Mhm.
I'm thinking I probably will try because in especially since my books are more 18 plus, I was thinking of shooting for August or September because then we have a better chance of getting more of the college kids in, who might be new to the area and looking
Oh,
for the local comic
my
shop.
birthday is on Sunday. My birthday is on a Sunday in August. Okay.
So we won't do it on a Sunday in August. I was gonna
No, no,
do
no.
uh,
I was saying my birthday is on a Sunday in August. I was like, that might be a good time to do it, but no, but that I was like, I just know that Sunday comic book stores and Sundays are not
not good
very.
things. So
I'm
I'm
not saying it's not a
thinking
good thing. They just don't unless you're doing all the publicity yourself to get people in.
no. So I'm thinking probably a Saturday.
I would use when I was doing signings at Graham Crackers, I would normally pick like a new comic book day Wednesday, a new
Okay,
comic
pick
book
a
day
Wednesday.
Wednesday because you got people coming in, and if you want people to to really take a look at your book, you're going to get people who really read coming in, and then
Okay,
that way you can also publicize. It's like even if you don't buy my book, you can also pick up whatever new book that you want as well to kind of
okay,
help James out as well.
okay. And like I said, I was actually once I sat down and talked to James, and I was going to ask in the group chat,
Mhm.
ask for
If
advice
not a Wednesday,
and
then a Saturday.
because like I said, my first thought would have been a Saturday.
Mhm.
Um,
Because that would be the next biggest day because that would be the first weekend day that people who want to get their comic books they would get up, they probably go to the store probably about like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and people be flowing in and out throughout the rest of the day.
yeah, because I was thinking, if people are working during the week, that Saturday might work because for a lot of people, that's the one day you get to get in there,
Mhm.
get get your pull list, and then ask what's new, what's going on, what's happening. Um, and I know Saturday is one of his better days,
Mhm.
so that's why I was thinking Saturday. And was it that little produce market is down the street, so I can send Courtney to like grab snacks, so I can keep
I was
myself
about to
fed and
say it's like
hydrated.
yeah I have to slap my hand for it because the first thing that came to my mind is like you're up here talking about produce place. I'm up here. It's like you got the deli two doors down.
There's more to deli, yes, but if I'm going to be tight on funds.
Hmm.
until books are sold. And because I'll be doing Square, I'm not going to get that money unless people pay in cash. And a
Right.
lot of people prefer to do cards. I don't like to travel around with cash if I don't have to. So I get that. So I'm not, and I don't want to, depending on when we're done, I don't want to be walking down the streets of any place with a lot of money on me.
Right.
So I just would, it's like, yeah, I don't see me having money to go, oh yeah, go over to the marts. But once I've got a day, I do expect you to show up, even if it's just to heckle me.
I don't heckle. If I show up, I'm going to be promoting the heck out of it and be like, here's some Amazonia books. Sign these. Get sign these. Make money
She
off of that.
edits. She edits these.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, so that's where we up to. We are getting ready for, so probably between either later in July, somewhere between late in July and the beginning of September is when I'm thinking of setting it. But as soon as I have a date, I will let y'all know. I will post on my Facebook. I will post on my YouTube. I, of course, because I can't keep my mouth shut,
Yeah,
I'll
you be
talk
talking
about it
about it.
here.
We talk about it each and every week until it actually happens.
Yeah, no,
Why? Because we want you there. If you're in the Chicagoland area, we want you there.
if you're not in Chicagoland area, fly your ass in. Okay, that's all I got. I'm evil. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It is 9:06,
Yep.
and
It's
I've
time
got
for you to get
somebody
some
trying
food.
to reach out to me on Messenger that I need to respond to. Because people don't remember when I say I've got a show that goes on until 9 and 9:30. But anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for whether you're here with us live, whether you watched us later um, on. We love you. We appreciate you stopping by. We hope we didn't drive you too crazy. We hope you got something out of it. If nothing else, you learned some history. Anyway, I'm Elaine Haygood. My website is lenscaponline.com. If you go to the bottom of that website, there is a, you know, little talk to us thing, a little talk to us widget. Drop me a line, it gets in my email. I read all of that stuff and I do respond. So long as you're not trying to ask me for money, you know, or sell me something I don't want,
I would
But
I would hate to see your response to people asking you for a date.
oh, I've had a couple of those. You do not want to you don't want to see those responses. I have got I can be very evil. I can be very, very evil. But anyway, I'm here. I am here at YouTube, Elaine Haygood, and I change my thingy. So you'll know it's me because you'll see my face. It's me doing the Wolverine thing with the ink pen and a paintbrush. And I forgot what the other thing was because I think it's pencil. But I'm old and sometimes we get forgetful. But anyway, y'all take care, enjoy, be nice to other people because you never know. Okay? Peace.
And that brings us to tonight's sponsor here, which is Plasma Fire Graphics. If you have a graphic novel, a novel, or a comic book cover that you need done and you want people to come to your table just because, hey, we saw that cover, why not give this award-winning artist who have won several Pulp Factory awards a chance here? If you don't believe me that his work is good, take a gander at this video.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've seen those covers. You've seen what he could do for other people. Why don't you get that same quality cover for yourself here? Just reach out to Jeffrey Hayes at plasmafiregraphics.com or his Facebook group for Plasma Fire Graphics. As far as I'm concerned, I will be back here on Saturday for an episode of From the Desk of the Small Press Publisher. And guess what? One of your requests is about to get granted on this upcoming Saturday. We have one of our regular viewers here, I will leave his name out of it for right now, has asked me to cover what is pretty much a major part of the XSU universe. For those who don't know, it's the CGC Studios universe here, based upon all the comic book series that we produce here. And how did that universe come about? Why did it come about? Talk more about the characters for like the primetime Saturday night series, the Amazonia series, and stuff to that magnitude. So it's going to be a very big question and answers session here. So if you want to know more about the comic books that we produce here at CGC Studios, this upcoming Saturday would be that best option to get all your questions answered, and we'll go from there. So until Saturday, or until next week, where you catch us right here on Comic Book Spectrum, live life, grow, and be well. And unlike our founder, Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. Catch you right here in another week for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Good night and enjoy.